This is my presentation on project-based learning. My name is Jim Gonzalez, and we're going to be going over chapters 3 through 5 today. Chapter 3, Imagining Possibilities. Good projects get to the heart of the discipline, which means that students should understand what the lesson we went over and really dig down deep into what the student should be getting from the lesson. Identify big ideas, the core concepts and processes. Well, this goes back to getting down to the heart of the discipline. A student should know and understand what a project requires and what it should have when they are designing it. Connect directly to students' frame of reference, interests, and experiences. So it should not only be about the lesson, it should also have some sort of way that the children can connect to it, where they feel like they are going to be interested, where it's interesting for them, and where they can use their experiences and interests into the project. If students know their project has value to their community, they become more invested. So if a student knows that it is going to put value and become something more than just a project inside a school, they will have more interest and spend more time invested into their project. Praising efforts over smart is beneficial towards the growth mindset of children. I strongly believe in this because some students may not feel like they are smart, but they are also dedicated into putting time and effort into their projects. And it's important that most students know how hard they worked and that they did do a good job. Projects call for sustained attention over a long period of time. I really like how this is phrased because nowadays there are a lot of distractions around children, so projects do implement them to make sure that they're paying attention, spending time into the project, and actually getting something out of it. When tapping into a student's enthusiasm, you can increase the likelihood that they will dive deep into inquiry and come away with essential understanding. So by ensuring that the project will connect with the students in a way that they will enjoy, it will make sure that the students completely understand and have an essential way of knowing what the lesson was about. So some essential learning functions for when doing a project include research, make ideas visible, / express ideas creatively, collaboration, project management, reflection, and iteration, and supported study. So all of these a student should be going through and throughout a project so they can completely take away a learning experience afterwards. Chapter 4, Strategies for Discovery. Something that really stood out to me in chapter 4 was this list. It basically goes over overcoming pitfalls. So a project should be right-sized for what it accomplishes. So it shouldn't have too much if it's just a short lesson. It shouldn't have too little if it's a bigger lesson. Consider whether technology is used to meet the authentic learning goals. So if a child should be using web resources or reflecting on a textbook, look for ways a theme elevates and connects in learning thematic projects. Have students make critical decisions about their learning path. So in a project, there are different paths that can be taken, but you have to let the child decide which one they're going to take. Have check-ins on students' understanding and adjustment so students can have quality results. So to me, this means when assigning a project, make them have due dates for certain parts of the project so that you can check in on them and make sure that they're going in the right direction so students don't fall behind. Ensure students have an authentic task, projects, and authentic audience for their efforts. So making sure that the students know that they are doing something for a purpose and that they are going to be recognized for it. A good project will be an extended investigation in which students design the sub-questions and the ways of trying to answer them because they believe in what they are doing. So this, to me, goes back to connecting a project with the student's interests, and I believe it is important because it will keep the student more interested and they will take away something for it rather than going on to the next lesson and not remembering what the project was even about. One successful project will lead to another. So once students do projects and become successful at them, they will be more likely to be successful and have faith in their other projects. Chapter 5, Making Assessment Meaningful. Students use assessment tools to reflect on their own progress and set learning goals. So when giving feedback, it's important to recognize their progress and notice how it's going to affect them later on when they go to different projects. Formative assessment lets you tap into students' thinking so you can adjust the project, address misunderstandings, or guide efforts in new directions. So it's basically a way to support the children whether they're not completely hitting the right goals in their project or hitting them on perfect A's, which is important because then it tells the students you're either doing well or you need a little bit more help, which isn't always a bad thing. Making assessments meaningful. So there's a summative assessment is a performance task, a test, or ask other teachers, subject matters, experts to help them evaluate student work. It's just another way to test the student's ability and knowledge after they go through the project. The rubric also reflects growth in certain skills and dispositions that were focused on during the project. So it just makes students reflect on what kind of skills they had during the project, what did they know and recognize that they can do in more projects, and help them understand what they're capable of. So making assessments meaningful, there's objectives. What will the students learn from this project? Which is important because you basically have to ask yourself, what is the goal when the students complete the project? Evidence, what would they need to demonstrate to show they have learned? So this goes back to the summative assessment where you can test them, and after the test, if the test shows that they do understand the lesson completely, then you know that they have learned. Or if a student is speaking fluently about the subject rather than a student who isn't, shows whether the student fully comprehended the lesson or not. Activities, what approaches might they take to go from not knowing to knowing? So if a student is struggling on the topic, what steps are they going to take to understand the project from what they weren't understanding? And to wrap up Chapter 5, a project rubric causes a teacher to carefully think through the learning targets and standards of achievement. So I really feel like the rubric can help lay out what the students should be going through during their project, what goals should they be hitting, and things of that matter. To conclude, I'd like to say that for my classroom, I would want to help my children have a growth mindset by having students go through learning dispositions, because even though they hit those setbacks, I want them to overcome those setbacks. Testing their grit and self-control, having them sustain attention throughout the duration of the project. Even though it might get hard, I want them to be able to focus and reconnect themselves with the project. I want to make reflection prompts where students can see how hard they have worked, so they know that they are capable of working hard and the outcome of hard work. Tap into children's enthusiasm. I want to create projects that will really bring out a child's creativity and a joyful mindset. And it is important to me to have a good assessment, because students go through progressions of activities, whether it's questioning or investigating, making sense of what they discover, asking more questions, and doing more research. And I want to do that until they emerge with a new understanding of the lesson, and hopefully get them a better understanding of who they are as well. So I hope you guys liked my presentation on project-based learning. Please leave me any feedback or comments. Thank you.